Hey, how's your day going? McClure Motorsport update, and we are smoking through this Torana project. Let's have a look at what we've been up to. So, last time we come to you, we had the manifolds done and the hot side up to this point. Since then, we've finished off into the T6 flange, which is a really nice billet Maven piece we got out of the US. So it's all CNC'd inside, twin 3-inch feeds into it. Really nice bit of kit. So all that stuff's now tacked in place, ready to go off to be TIG welded. We got the gates mounted in here. So you always want to put your gates on the least point of resistance. So on the outside of a bend is a real nice place for the gates, just to get the most efficiency out of them. So yeah, they're all tacked in place. We sort of mucked around a bit about maybe just dumping the gates straight out the front for a nice short pipes, or even on the ground. We talked to a lot of people and took a lot of advice off people we know, and just dumping out the front here. It's been screwing around with the beams, like giving people red lights, so we didn't want that. And we really don't want any fumes getting into the driver, so we thought we'd put a little bit of extra pipe in, get them right out the side, clearing out the side of the car, and they'll just be poking out the side of the fenders where the old zoomies used to come out. So they'll be quite discreet, but it just keeps any gases away from the driver, and we don't want to trip in any red lights or any dumb shit like that. So that's how we rolled with that. Then we got onto the exhaust. Got nice 5-inch exhaust. These were, we used a donut to make this, so we just MIG welded that, because the donuts come with all MIG welds over them anyway. Once the wideband's fitted into this exhaust, this will go off and get HPC or CIC coated, and it'll all look Nicky Duck. That comes out, we've got our X in the exhaust. Little tip, if you're putting your X's in the exhaust, you can go down the local farm supply and grab a 1/2-inch bolt, whack it through, cut the heads off it, weld it in, and that's your X pipe done. Also, we've relocated the fuel tank, which originally was in here. That's the only other place we could get the fuel tank, was over this side. Basically, when you're getting everything situated in the car, you really want to you've got to plan out the layout of everything, and we wanted the exhaust on the left-hand outlet, because that also creates a bit of a push to keep the front down along with the driver. So our preferred exit was out the left-hand side, and then we just balanced everything else out in the engine bay, and we're pretty happy with it. We've got 35 kilos over the front wheels instead of right up on top of the roof like it was before. So that will be our weight bar, so to speak. The coal side will come up through here, the fuel pump in there, so it'll be, the engine bay will be filled out pretty nicely. Yeah, we also relocated the oil pump, just made our own little brackets up. This used to run off the crank support, just a little bit down from there, so got a mantle set from CMP, still use the same belt, utilised everything that we could from the old setup, but just made our own brackets, so that's come up pretty nice. The crank support, the crank trigger also ran off the crank support. So we picked up a bracket off our mate Eckham Samet, just a second-hand one, and used everything else that was originally with the car. So that's a lot of the stuff, relocating and stuff that was mounted off the blow-and deal. That's all sort of finished now. The manifold, we're having good progress with the manifold at Rotomotion. All the injectors are fitted, and we'll be excited to bring you some photos of that when it's all finished. But that is progressing, and we'll be keen to get that on as soon as we can. The big dog box for the blower, that had a massive cutout there, so we've just rolled up a bit of valley, made up a new windscreen. At this stage, this is just a bit of old scratch shit that we had to make a template, and all the holes are in the perfect place. So right before the car's finished, we'll trace this one out over a brand new piece of plexiglass, and that window will go in at the last minute. So that's pretty cool. We've also locked away these bars. We had the transmission out of the drag, so they're all mounted up in here, and it clears everything nicely. So those bars have now been welded and locked away, and that side of it's all finished. We've got the shifter mounted. It may look a little high, but when the driver in the car to come straight off the steering wheel for shifting gears, it's actually very comfortable. It's actually perfect, but yeah, looking at it, you might think it's a bit high. We've got this mounted on a quick release pins, so if you need to work on the gearbox at all, you slip those two pins out, the shifter just folds out the way, and the gearbox can be removed from the car. So that's another job done, and as soon as the transmission's ready, which all the parts are on their way for that, we'll get the transmission in there. Around to the back, unfortunately for some of the die-hard Torana people, the bobtail had to say bye-bye, so we took the bobtail off, and we've got working on the rear deck on the car. Kind of shaped these spill plates all into the side of the car. Real happy with that. We've gone for quite a big deck. Like the car eventually will run well over 200 miles per hour. So we started with a nice big spill plate, a 1-inch wicker. We've got 400 mils on the deck, and this can all be downsized once I'm happy with it, and once I'd rather keep the car on its right side up and lose 5 miles an hour to start with, and then you can always reduce as you're going along. But this is all about trapping a ton of air on this deck. The spill plates keep it on top, and then a good point of resistance as the air peels off the back. This is multi-drilled, the wicker, so the wicker can just be raised or dropped at the track. 10-minute job done. We've got the sheets mounted, chute bracket mounted, and we just utilised the old one, put an extension on it, and that's come up really good. We have had a few people say, oh, what about the little short wheelie bars on there, which they are going to look a little funny, seeing as though the chutes are going to be further out than the wheelie bars. But the thing is, there was years spent getting this car to go straight and to run killer times, so we're not going to stuff around with something that works really well. So we're going to run the car as it is, and yes, we'd like to get some big sexy wheelie bars, but at this point we know it works, so we're not going to spend money and time on something, mucking around with something that's proven and works. So for now, those wheelie bars stay. We've had a killer delivery from HALTECH. As we talked about last time, we've done a deal with HALTECH. Absolutely tickled pink to be involved with the company, and all our stuff's turned up here. All the sensors. We've got our CAN hub, which the dash and the control panel and everything run through the CAN hub and then into the ECU. So the Nexus R5, that's it. That's the complete ECU. There's no need for fuses. There's no need for relays. Basically, your wiring loom over here clicks straight into these fittings and then go off to all the appliances on the car. But there's no spark amplifiers. There's no fuses. No nothing. That's it. So it's a really state-of-the-art, really simple, and cuts down on wiring. There's some ECUs, which are obviously great ECUs, but you end up with 5 or 6 boxes, and in the car that we've got, there's just not room for that much stuff. So we won't be touching any of this. This will be going to Rotor Motion, and Michael Buckley will wire the whole thing. We've got 8 high-power coils. We've just got one of them out for you there. And the only other little amplifier, and that's purely just to change the current from the EGTs to a signal that is recognisable on the ECU itself. So that control panel, this has its like touch button, and it lights up like it'll have start, engine temperature, whatever function you want to bring up on the dash. These illuminate. Once again, super lightweight, comes with its own wiring loom. Just click it straight in, straight to the ECU. Everything's so simple, so compact. the dash. You know, this has the lights that run up for your shifting. You can bring up anything you want on there. Once again, just a real solid, really nice piece. So yeah, as soon as we're finished with our grinding and cutting in the shed here, the car will go to Rotomotion, and this will be all loaded into the car, and it'll be very exciting. So just remember to like the page, and we'll keep you updated with more stuff happening real soon.